Cool. I'm back. Anyway, let me just run through the things that I covered while it wasn't filming. Broke my nail on New Year's Eve. Tragic. Cosmo and Wanda acting slick. Ha 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 ha. Oh yeah, got my hair done. Little crazy, kind of toned it back. Now it's where I want it. Got some highlights, cute. Got lash extensions I need to fill. Don't pay attention to those. And we're doing a resolution and goal video for 2020. Also a 2019 recap. So I wanted to talk about things that I accomplished that I'm proud of doing in 2020.
I know I just said 2020, I meant 2019, get over it.
My accomplishments are getting an award for a show I was in, and then I got a job that I was really looking forward to. It wasn't like my dream job, but it's something that I've always wanted to do. I knew that when I graduated high school I'd want to do it. So
lessons I've learned.
Stop caring so much about people who don't give a shit about you. You're just gonna end up getting hurt. And that's a hard lesson that I've learned, but still, if they aren't reciprocating the care and affection you are giving to them, stop giving it to them. They're not worth your time. They're not worth your energy. You're just gonna end up getting upset at the end. And I had to learn that the hard way. I'm learning to read tarot cards, and it's actually been quite the time. I don't only use them to like predict the future and stuff, but I also use them to kind of determine how I'm feeling. So like if I'm really upset, if I'm having a panic attack, I can draw a card and it'll almost immediately tell me why I'm feeling this way, and it'll kind of help me calm down and get to the root of the problem. And mistakes that I've made in 2019. Allowing others to determine how I feel about myself. That was a big issue, because for some reason my brain is wired a certain way where if someone said something about me either behind my back or to my face, I would believe it to be true. Even though I know myself better than anyone else, I would still let their judgment rule how I thought of myself. Another thing that I'm trying to work on is letting know other people.
Letting know other people
How I feel when I feel it, rather than waiting forever so it feels like so much bigger than it actually is. Because if you're trying to tell someone how you feel and they don't feel the same way, you should accept that and move on, instead of just stewing in your own brain.
Being like, oh, I don't know if they like me back. Should I ask? I don't know if I should ask.
Like, it's so frustrating. Just don't even put yourself through that. Just let them know how you feel. Communicate with them. If they feel the same way, great. If they don't, move on with your life. It's not as big as you're making it out to be. And that's another mistake I made. The last mistake I made was putting other people before myself. You need to pay more attention to your mental health and your priorities, and stop letting people control the way you act. Some things that made me happy are those friends that I do have, my cat, music. Some big artists for me in 2019 were Billie Eilish, Rex Orange County, Panic at the Disco. Also, I have grown so much as a person in 2019. At the very beginning, I felt very happy. I felt like I was where I wanted to be in life. I felt like I had a solid support system. I felt like I had friends who cared about me. But then slowly over the year progressed, I realized that I wasn't in a good place. Things happened that caused me to kind of fall back into not so great mental state. And then I started to take that out on my friends, and then they started not liking me because I didn't like myself. So yeah, I have grown a lot, and I don't quite love myself again, but I can recognize that it's gonna take some work, and I'm willing to put in that work. So I have like my favorite entertainment, if you guys care about that. My favorite book of 2019 was Looking for Alaska. They just released a Hulu series of that a couple months ago, and it reminded me that I wanted to reread the book. I forgot how much I love that book. So yeah, Looking for Alaska is definitely up there. And then my favorite movie was The Shining, and I know that didn't come out in 2019. Well, neither did Looking for Alaska. I first watched The Shining in theaters in October, so the first time I saw it was 2019. And there's just so much in that movie that, like, checks all my boxes, you know? Like, you have, like, all of those standards when you're going in to see a movie, and for some reason The Shining just does that for me. Does that make me crazy? It's a good time. My favorite musical artist of 2019 was Rex Orange County, and my favorite song of 2019 was definitely Your Song by Elton John, because even though, you know, Elton John's an oldie, my grandma passing away really brought more of his music into my life, because Elton John was her favorite musical artist. So listening to Elton kind of helped me cope with losing her. In the arms of the angel. The hardest time I had in 2019, it's a bit of a long story, but I'm sure I'm gonna edit it down so it doesn't sound so bad. After I graduated and I was starting college and I had this job and my grandma passed away, I was feeling very overwhelmed because there were so many life changes going on. I just lost a loved one. I had so much more responsibility. I was like transitioning into adulthood, but like not quite, because I was still living at home. And I was in a deep, deep, deep depression. And I had been depressed pretty much all of high school, but with all of these changes, it really took a toll on me, and I felt like I was drowning and I couldn't handle everything, and the stress was eating me alive. So I ended up in the hospital. I spent 2 days there, and those were the most traumatic 2 days of my life. I can do a separate story time about it. I just don't want to get too engrossed in the story because it is pretty traumatic. But after those 2 days, I realized I did not want to go back there ever again. So I finally reached out to my therapist, who I hadn't spoken to in about a year. And we got back to our regularly scheduled appointments. And I'm doing better now, but it definitely was a turning point in my life. And it was the hardest thing I had to go through, but I do feel stronger now. I am still dealing with everything that put me in that hospital, but knowing what it was actually like there has made me try my hardest not to end up there again. It's been so hard losing all of my friends from high school, because I do still care about them. I still want to hang out with them, but it just feels like they're in such a different part of their life that they would rather move on and still live in their high school environment and leave me behind. And even though that kind of stinks, I need to accept that and move on, and that's what everyone's been telling me to do. So I'm trying my best to do that, but it is very, very hard, especially because my mental state isn't 100%, but I'm trying to accept the people who want to cut me out of their life, as I would want someone to respect me if I needed to cut them out of my life. So, yeah, I guess I'm just trying to move forward, and that's why I'm making this video, kind of, just to reflect on everything that happened and kind of set a turning point so that I can move on and leave everything in 2019. Let's move on to some goals for 2020. One of my biggest goals is to fall in love with myself again, because I had a good month or two where I was very happy with myself. I knew I was a good person, and I knew that other people felt that way about me too, and I was so content with life. And I really, really hope that I can get back there this year. And my final goal is for you guys. I'm pretty sure I have like 80 subscribers. I don't even know. But I stopped posting when I got sad, and I think it was good for me to take a break because I kind of needed to like figure it out. And now that I have most of that shit figured out, I want to do this because I really love doing this, and I really feel like it could go somewhere if I continue to post, because in my heart I really do want this. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I know it's kind of long and depressing. I hope you're not too emo now, because like I would hate that. Don't be emo. I'm emo enough for the both of us. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.